interested in finding out. Okay, all right. Banged around my whole desk. There we go. Okay, so hi. I hope everybody had a good night. It's Wednesday. Yesterday was all kinds of streams. This morning was a good stream. Did you do a good stream this morning? She got frustrated, but I have a solution for that if she comes on. Figured out a way to make that easier for herself. So I'm just looking at picking out a one-page comic to do today. I have a great debate that I'm going to need your help on. So be prepared to be asked-did what that could be about. All right. But we've got stuff to do today. So, okay. Yeah, let's just get to it. Oh, hey, Dee Dee's here. Hi, Dee Dee. I got a solution. I'm not sure if it was a structural thing, but give me a quick second and then we'll get on to business. You were building a structure that looked like the shelves are like so, and they're nice and strong and everything. I'm not sure if it was, and then you had the suppression weights in between. Smart move. If you put a piece inside here on the exteriors, then it'll strengthen the whole line. So if you just put like another little piece inside this wall here on the exterior, so that when you have all these supporting pieces, it won't sag there, which will give the weakening to the whole thing. Because, Chris is a building dork. So that will benefit you greatly. And the second part of that, of course, is that if you super support the center one, whatever the farthest span is away from the exterior edges, then and then of course conversely spans underneath that, strong as an ox, won't break down for you over any amount of time, over any amount of pressure. It's just about spatial referencing and foam core boards being the width that they are. If you're going to use the entire span of a foam core board to make something, then you need thirds, extra support in the thirds. The reason I know that is that my sons and I built a city out of foam core board, and we had to take those things into account. But and if I don't overload the top, might help too. Well, considering you got an art supply store in that studio of yours, you got a few markers. Anyhow, I just thought I'd write that down for you. Anyhow, I don't know if that's what the frustration was, but I can understand that being frustrating. So, also, there's a thing that you can get, like it's a mat cutter, right? If you run a ruler and you just run a mat cutter around it, or down it, then you'll never have to worry about the fiddly bits of an X-Acto knife. A mat cutter just slides right down. Okay, so, all right. What do we got? Thank you both so much for the packages. Hey, cool beans. This is Mr. Jim Lujan, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome, Jim. Okay, let's get on with today. I've got today's page posted. This is a post. This is a page that was suggested by Rachel Fleming in the 500 years from now series that we did. I've got, hey, Gary, welcome aboard. There's one more of these 500 years from now. And I'm pretty excited about that. This has been a lot of fun. I have an extra special thing to show you, and I could use the people in my stream's advice. And at the same time, I'm at that huge state where I'm doing 5 things at the same time right now, and I'm desperately trying to keep my brain on any given track. It's challenging. Okay, so here's today's page. Bear with me is what I'm saying. Here's today's page. 500 years from now, it's another page featuring Dr. Corbell Johansson, science! And in this case, what came before, the chicken and the egg? There's only one way to figure that out. Throw them both. See which one gets farther, and that came first. Science! Yep, so, the chicken cracked on ahead, so you're welcome. So yeah, there's all kinds of ridiculousness, as is pretty usual with this. Hiya, Chris. Oops, I didn't catch that in time. How are you? Welcome aboard. Try 5 things, 6 murder streams of trash fire for the first hour. All right, so I got a couple things I want to show and get your thoughts on. There's a few things that I got in the mix, and I'm sort of doing this thing where I don't know what do I do next, and it's because I'm so I work on 3 projects every day, one of which is the one-page comic extravaganza. Another one is finishing off A Village Haunted to get it ready for print. And another one is setting up Substack so that I can stream Stream of Conceitedness, this long-form book that I've got done and have nothing to do with it. So, or I take it to print, and I'm hemming and hawing over whether I do stream for print or stream for the Substack, or do I do, you know what I mean? Your brain goes, blah, 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 blah. So, we're going to figure that out. So, what do we got? Jim Luan, early question of the day. When the UFOs arrive, are the aliens going to be mad at Gary for DVSM or interchange? I can't read English. Although they can read the language that Gary has in his books. Hey, listen. Sit down. If you've got Gary's books, sit down and translate that language, because that book takes on a whole different layer if you do that. I sat right down to it the day I got those books in, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. That's what an extra fun gift to do for your readers. So DVSM, yeah, and it took it would have taken the 3rd book. For those that had the first 2 books and couldn't figure it out, it takes a 3rd book for there to be enough volume of the language, and there's numerous symbols for letters. But that's it's pretty cool. We heard that you read Klingon too. No, I do not. Elf. So okay. I read Elf. Hey, Willie. Yeah. So yeah. No. Just I like when you have languages prepared in material. I'm the guy that has to try to translate those. Like I tried to translate the Proto-Indo-European that was in the Alien movies that Ridley Scott's been doing in the last few years. So yeah, I'm a nerd. Buckle up. If you didn't know that by now. So here's today's page. It was fun. This is the number 7, I think, in our 500 years from now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7. So this is a lot of fun. Oh, Chris is preparing for classes for tomorrow. Man, oh man, it's so much work. I don't think people appreciate how much preparation for a class and how much marking after the class is over that teachers at your level have to do, Chris. Okay, so jump in tracks. So here's today's page. The only one that's left to do is scientists bring back a whole bunch of useless animals. So we'll get down to that. We will. Anyhow, so this was a lot of fun to do. This page. Now, here's the other thing I've been doing today. And I don't know those that have seen this yet or not, but I've got a whole pile of paperwork I'm going through, and I got a whole pile of, I've made, graphs for figuring out the things that I have to do, like a planning graph system for the things that I have to do for the different things that I have going on at the same time right now. And I finally got to sit down and put the polishers on Village Haunted. And I don't know if a lot of people have seen these, but I posted these like last year, and then I got caught up in other projects, which happens to me on my books all the time. So this is, GD says, my new conspiracy book reading is 3 volumes of cinema symbolism. Nice. There's tons of it. We were watching a show last night. It's sidetracked. See how easy this is today? was watching a show last night, and the one woman is regretting all her decisions, and so she's sitting in her cafe with her head down. And she looks away from herself off the shot, right? And but the camera's pulled back enough that there's a mirror that's reflecting her in it, and my wife, what's the point of that? I said, she can't look at herself. So symbolism comes fast and easy for some people, and it takes work for others. So well, why can't she? Because she's done something that we haven't found out yet. Conspiracy. See, it all works. It's a guilty pleasure reading conspiracies. Just make sure you wear a tinfoil hat. Okay, so Village Haunted is it's me trying to do a ghost story for all ages. So the way I drew this was a one-page suggestion that kicked off a whole book. And it's about two kids going to visit an old derelict house on down the street. So, and then the sister goes in. There's Billy and Kimmy goes in the house, and she the next page is it's Billy running up to Father Mathers and saying, "My sister, she gone, she disappeared." So, and so they start going down to the woods and to see what's going on. So today I cleaned up all my edges and I got all the proper borders on everything. And I had this massive debate about, do I further the coloring or can I just leave it as it is so the pencils stand through and it has, otherwise I have 30 some odd pages of coloring to do and I don't want to do it. So, so I left it. So this is, the priest goes to the old house and looks inside, and of course the priest is scared, and they're trying to call Kimmy to come out, and they look inside the darkness. See, this is symbolic, right? Where he looks at the frame, and then we look inside the darkness ourselves, right? And then, hey there! And it turns out to be Billy and Kimmy's dad has showed up. So this was, and then he heads into the house. So, and then everybody shows up. So the whole point of a project like this is that I've broken it up into little pieces, and then there's a framing story that goes through the whole thing. So this is a 30-page book. I just have to finish all these borders on, and it's good to go. Like this is the framing story that's part of it. So, and it goes through the whole history of the town, the establishing of it, the build. This is down here in the bottom is the house that the kids just went into. That's the haunted cottage. So it's, it's complicated, but that's what I'm working on. So the second thing, the thing that I could probably use some help on. Anyways, I just thought I'd give you a sneak peek of that. The second thing that I think I can probably use some help on is there's a part of me that's thinking heavily about, do I stop calling it? Is there something to be said towards calling the book one-page story extravaganza instead? I'm wondering if by saying comic, it's limiting myself. That's my question of the day. Is there benefit to calling it one-page comic extravaganza or one-page story extravaganza? And if anybody has any feedback on that, I'm taking votes. We're taking suggestions at this point, because I'm now at the point of talking to the publishing house. So, okay. I'm just writing down the suggestion for today. I'm getting distracted halfway through every sentence. Epic Battle Royale. And this is the Kremlin that came up with this. This is something Josh told me that they were discussing on one of his streams. So, there we go. So, there is today's suggestion. Yesterday's suggestion. I got it written down now. So, yesterday's page that I've been having up on the screen here is this one. This is the one that I drew in camera yesterday. And what I changed was I moved this panel over to here and slid that panel across so that I could say the chicken and the egg, and that's how they both end up. You know, science. Throwing the two of them. There's where the egg breaks. Science. So this, I've done all the chicken. Like I've done all the 500 years from now. I've done all the Corbell Johansson pages at this size. In that way. So that's been some fun in the sun. Okay, I'm missing tons of stuff. What are we talking about? What are we on about? GD has a tinfoil hat collection. Nice. What book are we talking about? Oh, the Cinema Symbolism book. Yep. There's 3. Start with the first one. I will get the first. Read descriptions to decide which ones you might like. I just want to draw chickens. Go for it. Draw some chickens, Didi. Oh, every time I see your chicken drawings. I think there's a song about that. Every time I see your chicken, I have to draw a chicken myself. You know that song? Yes. So, yeah, you should go for it. Draw some of them there chickens. What you should do is you sit down with a pencil and you get chicken drawn. Okay, so I have some Micron pens here. This one's name is Carl, and this over here is Larry. I generally don't draw with these suckers, but I've got them sitting right here, lonely. You know, we might as well use them. Chris says, I've been drawing chickens recently. That's great. That's great. And chickens is in his house. Anybody draw some chickens? That's what all the cool kids do, I guess. All right, so I thought today I would just draw in Micron. And I've got to get the right paper here, because this isn't the cardstock that I work on. This is just regular old bond paper. So, okay, so yeah, so I'm trying to finish all the processing stuff for the Substack so that I can put the Streaming Conceitedness thing on as a blog for people. And then eventually, if anybody likes it, we'll do something with it. But I'm at the point now where I've got these 2 projects done, and I haven't done anything with them. And I'm feeling like a bit of a dummy. I'm feeling like a dummy. Kids are going to see me in the street and say, "Hey, dummy, get that there book out." And I will weep. I will weep openly. I will weep openly for mankind. So yeah, so I've been debating whether or not I call the next book one-page story extravaganza, and if there is benefit to do that, because it's then much more open into a larger marketplace. That's my thinking. That's what I'm thinking, Stinkin'. And it's not that, I've got a problem with them being comics. That's not what it is at all. It's just I realize that they don't really fit the mold of what most people assert as comics, per se. Anyways, that's what I'm thinking. So, ideas, they come hard and fast, them ideas, and before you know it, well, you're in a whole heap of trouble. Okay, I do this all the time, and the reason I do this all the time is because I was a huge fan of Waylon Jennings when I was watching Dukes of Hazzard back in the day. Yeah, a relevant reference. When I was watching that, one of my favorite parts was, before and after every commercial, there'd be this narrator as the General Lee was frozen in the air or somebody's going like that. It'd say, well, I've seen the boys get out of worse ones than this. Come on back. We'll see how it goes. And that was Waylon Jennings that was doing this. And I love that. I love that so much when I was a kid that I find I do it all the time. So, all right. So today I'm going to draw just in microns, and we'll see how that goes. Just some straight old black and white. Maybe do some color in the robot. The robot. Okay. Yeah. So I think I'll just get cracking. So I'm not going to pencil anything out. That's not as exciting to me. Microns are fun because they let you do all kinds of things with textures and lines and let you have all kinds of sort of free reign about the marks that you're making. It's they're because they've got these fine little points and because they've got this sort of easy and clean way of making marks that I find that I really like to build up textures and shapes in here. And so we'll see how this goes, but it's trying to think of, because I'm not using a ruler, I've really got to sort of think about space. But if something doesn't go right and I put a mark in the wrong place, so be it. We'll deal with it, all right? Deal with it. I'm so bad at paperwork. I'm so bad at all the stuff that I'm doing right now, basically, with the production part of things. I'm so bad at it. I hate it so much. I have successfully given myself a headache for 2 days straight now. So the expression of frustration that Kitty had earlier today, yeah, I get it. So, because if you think about when you're drawing with pen, if you think about it in the same way as you think about when you're drawing with pencil, when you're drawing with pencil and you're trying to make your marks and get things down and try not to have to erase everything. Now, some people really like to build up from a base surface with pencil. I tend to try to just put the lines down and go with it. But so I don't see much difference between drawing with pencil and drawing with pen because of that. What have we got? Eek, Christopher. What'd I do? What'd I make it eek for? I'm missing all kinds of stuff. Chris, I'd love you to be the next guest on the next. Hey, man. Yeah, sure thing, buddy. No problem. I'm down with your bad sound. I hope you like the stuff you got in the mail. I hope you like the dooley doos, the thingalies. I really enjoy getting the stickers. I got them up in my studio here. Next time I do a studio visit, like a studio show, you see all these stickers all up in an area. But yeah, I hope you like it. My friends told me to get out my yoga Barbie. You have a yoga Barbie? So there's a suggestion that I have right now for man card, making of a man, or having to use a man card. That came from watching your stream, and one of the people in the stream had said you should do a one-page comic on that. So there'll be a a one-page comic coming up, which is entirely about the necessity of a man card while watching somebody else's stream that starts going off on the Barbies. So that should be fun for all the kids at home. So it's really fun, the different lines, the sort of small lines that you can get out of one of these. This is an 01 that I'm using. Whoops. I've also got an 05, and I'll be utilizing that for fills, like for fill-in areas. But I tend to want to come back to that. I tend to want to identifiably establish the layout of things, the shape of things before I do the fill-ins. And then because then I have the decision to make about how I'm going to do that fill-in. So yes, Jim, get him on. Oh yeah, for that. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun, Jim. Eek about having a headache. I have one now. If you can't tell, Christopher, you're such a good sport. You could start rumors like that. People are going to think, guy's a good sport. Let's have him drive us over as we rob a bank. Maybe not that extreme, but you know what I'm talking about. That guy's a good sport. Maybe he'll give us all of his Jello. Give me Jello. Today I'm listening to Interpol. That's right, the police. Just trying to get the hand down here. Okay, so the idea here is that the teacher is leaning up the table with the students. So that's what we're going for anyways. Uh-oh, my head just beeped. So I think what I'll end up doing is like a sort of hash. You get a little more gesticulative with some of the lines because I want to keep it more interesting. And sometimes you get so tied up and just looking at everything as linear elements, you forget to have fun with the marks that you're making. What am I missing here? Chris got the books and the portrait. Hey, thank you so much, good sir. Hey, thanks, Paul. How'd you like it? I drew a mugshot of that character there. I think that's I've sent out pages from when I did the one-page comic. I sent out bits of the one-page comic that I did of DVSM meets Sam the Private Eye, starring Paul Pate and Jim Luan. So I'm testing this week 2 sets of skin tones, not for people. I use them for dog fur. Oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Depending on kinds of dogs too, right? Yeah, so it's clearly not purple and pink polka dots. Depends on the dog colors. Okay, so the idea here is that I'm going to put a couple students in here overlooking, and with their mark making tools as the teacher's teaching class, and chaos is going to erupt in this drawing, where everybody just starts going at each other, fighting with rulers and so on and so forth, because the suggestion is that. I really enjoy the opportunity to be on other people's things and to chat with them and stuff. It's a lot of fun. It takes. I feel like there's a lot of pressure off me. It's not that I feel a lot of pressure when I'm doing the streams here, but in comparison, it's just because a lot of the people that I've met here on the YouTubes and social medias tend to be pretty relaxed folks. So I always appreciate that. Okay, so I'm just putting some large sheets of paper, and then having the teacher here going through these with the class. That's the fun in the sun. Chris has the brown and the gray colors included. Look like they can match fur. That's great. Paul's trying to catch up on work. Oh, that's right. Back in Michigan again from when you were in California. Hey, how you doing, Chandler the handler? I should just pour ketchup on your work. It doesn't. Ketchup. Yeah, you can't do that. It doesn't make the work go away. It just makes the work covered in ketchup. If there's one piece of advice I could ever give anybody in this world, it's covering things in ketchup doesn't help. And that's the theme of today's talk. Covering things in ketchup doesn't help. I'm really pleased that so many people are engaging and having fun and doing their thing, because it's like you gotta have fun. You gotta want to go out and do stuff in that. But then when you get home, you just can't cover everything in ketchup. Because as pleased as I am that people are getting out of the house and doing stuff, enjoying their world, their life, covering things in ketchup is not the answer when you come back to that real life stuff. Whole communities have succumbed to this temptation. What does Chris say? The man looks like Harry Potter. Uh-oh. Hold on a second. Let me fix that. Yeah, I didn't make that distinct enough. Okay. Well, we'll get there. All right. Yeah, I forgot the finish parts of that. Philip is doing a live stream tonight, everybody. There you go. You just did, Philip. Hairy-chested beard. So I got a student standing back here. And then I've got the teacher laying stuff out on the table. So just establishing art class, right? And then from here, it's going to be breaking into a discussion. And from there, we're going to go into a full-on war, epic battle, like a la Royale, Balat Royale. Paul says, my friend from Canada always brings back ketchup potato chips when he returns from a visit home. Oh, yeah. We got so much stuff here in the States that you guys never heard of. Paul's alive in Michigan. That's how I pronounce it. Never been a big fan of ketchup potato chips, all dressed. Oh, all dressed are too spicy. I like barbecue. Yeah, there's a bunch of candies that you get in the States and cereals that you get in the States that we don't get here. And then there's, because our sugar rules are a little bit different when it comes to cereals and the like. There's a number of items that you guys get that we don't. And there's a number of items and flavors and stuff that we have here that you guys don't really do there. And then there's random things that I watched a sitcom that said that it's as Canadian as Kraft Dinner, and I thought Kraft Dinner was made in Ontario. I thought that was an Ontario company. Uh-oh, my grandson's getting a new belt. Oh, karate belt. Okay. So now I'm putting on the JBs. The JBs. The JBs. The JBs. Sometimes when you got a headache or you got something that's holding you up, giving your head some little antagonism, give yourself a little bit of happiness in your ears. In this case, it's the JBs. Survive football on the California beach. Oh my gosh. Braver than I. All dressed? You don't have all dressed chips in the States either? You guys are just getting ripped off. You're getting gypped. Okay, so we're getting this, guys. Just getting the different characters in behind each other. It's trying to populate the image, but at the same time, it's important that I think about where my lines are going, because I'm going to take this 5. What do we got? Tom Racine became an instant Runs-A-Maniac last night. Did he really? Cool. Super cool, because I'm a big Tom Racine fan, so that's pretty cool stuff. That's cool news. I'll describe it, Paul. Next time your friend brings ketchup chips home from Canada, ask him if you can grab one bag of all dressed. Runs-A-Maniacs versus Kremlin, the Kremlin Nation. The Kremlin Nation? I thought they were called the Kremlin. All dressed chips, including pants. There we go. I prefer a dressed. Okay. All right. Let's just take her easy there, pal. Put the brakes on, huh? What are you doing over here? What are you, crazy? We got suggestive young minds here. You don't need to be going corrupting Philip over there. Jim, I mean, that ship has sailed, but come on. Oh my God. See, look what you done to that kid. Come on. All right, so I'm just filling in this large area of it's just like a black shirt, but figure I better do it now. before I draw around it and forget about moving this area, the areas around it. If you have those dark as well as the this volume as well, they just sort of bleed into each other. And in some regards, that's fine, but in other regards, it sort of just flattens your whole drawing. So, and hopefully by filling in this area, it'll make a little more sense in the composition. What do we got here? I came here looking for some sanity. This has been one weird day. Is it a full moon? The moon's always full. It's just we don't always see it like that. Sanity? Here? Oh, I must be desperate. Oh, you might be, Cat. You might be. Run some maniacs. Build the bonfire. The Kremlin nationites run through it. That's a normal sentence. Weird. What's so weird? I'm just going to draw chickens and read conspiracies. There we go. Sentence of the day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to draw chickens and read conspiracies. I'm leaving that up there. You did it yourself. There's a silly thing that I'll say to Lori every now and then when some random sentence comes out, over the course of our conversation or whatever. I always adopt that as I tell her, remember that. That's what I want on my gravestone. I am just going to draw chickens and read conspiracies would be one of those things, right? Write that down, Lori. I want that on my gravestone. Because there's few things more interesting to me than somebody walking through a graveyard feeling sullen and dispossessed, missing their loved one, and they come across a gravestone that says, I'm just going to draw chickens and read conspiracies. That overtakes the last one, which was, you do you. So, desperate women, story of my life. Oh my goodness, Paul. I'm not a woman, Paul. You make everybody feel the tingles. Okay, so just going to keep on with this composition. So when you're working, depending on your left-handed, your right-handed, if you're covering up the part of your drawing, you've already got a set scale in, and you're drawing faces, always make sure to check back against the other face so that you're not drawing one head 3 times as large as the next one, right? Outside is America. Are you listening to U2 now? Yeah, I don't know if anybody has heard Jim Lujan's Bono impression, but it is remarkable. If you ever get a chance, ask him to do it. Ask him to do his Bono. Ask if it's just counting, right? He'll do it 100, 200, and it'll just let yourself experience the transcendent joy that is Jim Bono Lujan. Okay, so yeah, the James Brown is helping my headache, strangely enough. Paul has got some awkward silence. There we go. He's having a moment of contemplation as he looks down at his computer monitor and realizes that as upset I was at having to get back to work and catch up on all the stuff that he fell behind on, pouring ketchup on it was a bad idea. Now he's having this awkward silence as he realizes, what have I done? What have I done? Bye, Chris. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good day. Okay, so here's our first two characters in our image, and if I want to get cheeky, I could put I could put a plaid pattern on. Let's try. Let's have some fun. So I'm going to try to be really fine with my line. Because, I mean, that's the trick when you're drawing with just black pens. You don't have that ability to use another tone or to use a tertiary color or gray or something like that. So you've got to depend on line weight. So we're going to put him in a plaid shirt very, very carefully. Okay, what am I missing? Where's Corbin? Corbin is sleeping upstairs in the office. He's enjoying the sunlight right now. How is Corbin? Corbin is fine. He's doing fine. Have fun. See you later, Philip. 10:30 tonight. I might not see you tonight, but have some fun. Don't delete tonight's show, Judy says, Philip. Is it an awkward silence, or is it the silent being awkward? Oh my God! I can hear those fighter planes. That's a very Bono-ish thing to say. So is this. Yeah, gotta clean up my mess. Yeah, there you go. Have a great day, Paul. Take care. It's better than a pregnant pause. What happened in California? What did you guys get up? What did you do? I thought you were playing football with the fellas on the beach. So because I'm staggering the textures so that this line here, let me see if I hold it up, so that this line here doesn't meet up with where they are, the marks are on the collar, because that sort of suggests that there is a transition, a little fold in the fabric between them. Hopefully. That's the theory. And ideally, the viewer, the reader, they fill in the blanks on the fact that it's supposed to be plaid. Is that a plaid shirt? I got a plaid shirt. Just like it. Squares. I see it. Okay, what do we got? Yeah, that is a good. That's such a great thing. So back to my initial question: does anybody have any thoughts on? Is there benefits to calling the next release one-page story extravaganza instead of one-page comic, or do you think that the one-page comic part works? I'm just trying to think of if I release something that there might be larger marketability, to see if it goes other places than just. I don't know if you've ever been in a library and seen the trade paperback sections of them usually look like, but they're never very good. And I don't want to, at least the ones that I've seen, I've looked at 3 now. So maybe it's just Ontario ones. But I'm just wondering if there's more opportunity if I call it story instead of comic. Because they're not really traditional comics. That's what I'm thinking. You need to distinguish between other one page and new one page. Well, the original one page is in portrait format. The new one page is in landscape format. And so that allows me to change, right? If I want to, because you could say that because the other format is a traditional comic book one and the new format is not, that's where I could get away with that. Or do you think that, lean into the comics part, the fact that they are comics? I don't know. I'm back to the old one pen, by the way. The 05 I only used to fill in the large area. And then another thing I'll do often when I'm drawing with things like this is that I'll make sure to embellish the outside line on a character just to further separate them from the background environment. What about news stories in there somewhere? One page comic extravaganza, news stories? Or one page story extravaganza? So yeah, it's just I overthink things like this. This is what I do. When it comes to the creativity part, flying by the seat of my pants. When it comes to this production line assembly period, my brain goes. So, one page news stories. Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. I'll write that down. I'm feeble-minded. I'm afraid of that. When I was in high school, Micron pens were fancy, and now it just feels like once you're exposed to the larger world, you realize how fancy some pens can get. My gosh! And yet at the same time, Microns are great. Putting an apron on this lady here. There we go. I would rather have microns than Tech pens. You have to clean those. Oh yeah, microns are that's what's so effective about pens that are like this is that they are far more manageable, and yet they have, because they're right there, archival ink, because they are of archival quality. For those that are really concerned about that sort of thing in their illustration, you just don't have to worry about it. And for a relatively inexpensive pen compared to other ones, like Tech pens, where you got to feed in and out the ink, fountain pens, there's great benefits to that. But the major difference being, of course, is that the nib sizes, right? Whereas fountain pens and the like, you've got all kinds of different edge, so you can kind of do a number of different things with it. So, whereas these guys, they're pretty much putting down linear marks. So, and you could do little gesticulative measures and little textures and stuff like that, which I love doing. One of my favorite pages I think I've ever drawn as a one-page comic I did in Microns. Um, it's a page about a guy. He's got a dog. He's got parents. He flies on a plane. He's like you and me. Every person, every person's life is a story. It's the text on that page. I even remember the text on it. I enjoyed doing that page so much. It's one of those things that it's the second voice I have when it comes to my pages. My first voice is clearly silly, and then my second voice is the reflective voice that I tend to write with at times. Like I did a page recently about my father-in-law and how we share an interest in reading about World War II, but it's not reading about World War II that's really the important part of that. It's the engagement with my father-in-law, and not having a male role model growing up. Boy, I've got to tell you, I look at my wife's dad in high regard. He's a heck of a fellow, and so having something to share with him is super cool. But that's the second voice. That's the very insightful voice. That was a good page, Christopher. Oh, thank you, Dee Dee. I enjoyed that. Yeah, Rachel enjoyed that one too. But you're both from military families, so I mean, your husband's military, so. It's interesting things happen with your lines when you're working without a ruler, without a net, really, without penciling it out first. You got to go with some of the different angles and marks and things. Yeah. He says, "Yep, grew up in the military and married it." You married the whole military? I know what you mean. I finally heard Hubster's voice on a stream that was recently. He has a voice. He stops in every now and then. Nice. Well, Lori does occasional book reviews. She did a review on the book by Carolyn from Little House on the Prairie. I can't remember the actress's name. I'm sorry. We saw her performing as in On Golden Pond, and so we went to Petrolia, which is a place here in southwestern Ontario, sort of between London and Windsor, and saw her perform in a theater there. Petrolia, birthplace of oil. That's where they started doing oil, whatnot here in Ontario and Canada. Anyways, they got the oil museum. So, yeah. She did a book review of Carolyn Ingalls Wilder, actress's real name, on my YouTube. There's one there under reviews, and then she's done one of Joshua Campbell's. I think it's Jacob's Apartment that she did. So, yeah, and then she's working on a couple other ones. She's a voracious reader. That's my voracious son. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Okay, so there's a couple different characters we got here. And And yeah, feel goodery. There's some feel goodery going on in that. Dee Dee says he even colored a couple of pages a few years ago. Oh my goodness! All right, that's awesome. Western actors. Saw Lori's review. Nice. Far more insightful than mine. She's very, very, very insightful when it comes to literature. We read very different books. I read a lot of dorky things. And boring old classics. So I'm just putting some shapes in the background space here. Jen's going to yell at me, use a ruler. I don't have one. Don't yell at me. I'm sensitive. There's a video going around on some social platform of a millennial saying, hey, how come somebody goes after the Gen Xers? And where do they get off without anybody going after them? And the person, there's this lady that just goes off. And yet I have a hard time disagreeing with a single thing that comes out of her mouth. Because it just, in a really succinct way, speaks to many of the challenges that faced Gen Xers growing up, really, and that were sort of new, societally new. I just thought it was interesting, anyhow. If you come across it, you'll know. Basically, it sounds like the entire generation of Gen X people are insane. All right, so just the reason that I'm throwing down some of these shapes in the background is just, again, like I usually say, you want to contextualize your images. So. Frank's thing is today, I think. Frank is teaching a workshop, I think. Frank Salazar. So it'll be interesting to find out how that goes for him. We call him here on the stream, we call him Frankly Mapleton. He's got 50 different alter egos, that guy. 50. What do we got? Kat says, I'm definitely a cynical Gen Xer. Frank's thing is on Saturday. Thank you, Dee Dee. Cynicism gets kicked around a lot to describe Gen Xers. I think it's a strange pragmatism that in relation to other, it comes off as cynical, but it's not. It's just this kind of weird survival. Pragmatism is how I think it, the sense of it I get in my head anyways. All right, so just throwing down some more shapes and whatnot in space. Just because. And then I'm going to put a little bit of details on the images on the table. Frank's class is on Saturday. He is doing Toastmasters today. I mean, Gen X is the best gen. It is. The funny thing about Gen X is the people that argue about where the cutoff of it is. Like, there's any, point to that. There's so many people that are like, yeah, well, if you're not this age right now, you're not part of it. I can't stand people like that. There's nobody standing at the doors of a hospital waiting for pregnant moms to come in and go, no, time, you're in the next generation. Come back tomorrow. You gotta be this old to be a part of this generation. So this is, again, just having fun with texture and toning down this table. Just having some fun, really. But if I carry this across, it sort of ties the image together a little bit more. Yeah, an hour 6. I should draw slowly. Oh, well, we did a bunch of stuff this time. I like the one new stories idea. That's sticking in my head. The one-page new stories. Yeah, the generation police. You're not old enough to be. I knew a guy that did that all the time to people. It's like, dude, what have you got invested in now? Really? It's a dysfunctional, broken generation. You want to keep it exclusive? Let them all in. Everybody's crazy. The latchkey kids, that's what that major impact on that one was. So I'm trying to keep it relatively square, which is tricky to do when you haven't got it laid out. So, but fun. So I've clearly dragged over at the bottom here. Look at me, I'm drawing like Duchamp. I was always more impressed by the kids in high school that were doing live model drawing, nude model drawing, that whatever we've been talking about during art history class, like Duchamp or whatever, they would always try to incorporate that stuff in their drawings, and I always thought, that kid's doing his own thing. I respect that. I like that. That's fun. Okay, so here we go with teacher going through the drawings of the students here. So there we go. We've established, hey, it's just a typical old day in the art class, and before Bobby tried to stab Billy in the neck with a pencil. Yeah, so. All right. What do we got? 110. I got all kinds of things going on today, with not just the paperwork stuff, but I do have a scheduled meeting this afternoon to talk about with putting out the next books, like the Village Haunted one that I showed you. And if you showed up late, take a look at the start of the video. I showed some pages from a book that I've got done now. Maybe there's something in there you'd like. Hey, is that a ghost story? I like them. So I'm just trying to monkey around and draw some kids here as they're just about to break out. I think I'll have, my intention is this, and this is what I'm drawing right now, is that I'm going to have a kid take another kid's art supply. I think that's how the war's going to start. And then it turns into a free-for-all for all the Kremlin that really desperately want to see children fight with one another. It's not me. It's the suggestion. All these people that watch Josh's stream, violent, every one of them. Some of them are parentless. It's just Paul, but the point still stands. Look at this kid's hair. Poor kid. Gets a kid's hair like that. Brother had bow hair. Poor guy. Baby brother. It's got to be about, geez, 47, 48 now. Even though I'm only, 39. It's getting harder to do. I don't know how my oldest is, but what do we got? Have you created a man card yet? Oh yeah, I did. Dee Dee has a man card that she shows on her stream all the time. He sent me one from his carved stamp. Oh, the awesome monkey one. Yeah, I did the monkey stamp. He's smelling his armpit. Because that's, it happens. It's thought if you're going to get all testosterone and have a man card, then you got to have that man involved in his own masculine testosterone baloney. And what better way can you do that than having a monkey smelling his armpit? Nothing says I like hamburgers. Like smelling your own armpit. I don't know. I don't know. You gotta have man smells. You gotta have the man smells, if you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Oh, poor people that are lurking going, what are they talking about? What am I listening to in the background as I'm trying to do my jazzercise? I don't know why I picture people jazzercising while the stream is happening. But it could one day. Oh, yes, indeed. Or Barbie yoga. Who knows? And maybe I need a woman card in case I get too testosterone baloney on my stream here. Maybe that's what I need. Something really good, like a woman card where it's got like Gertrude Stein or Camille Paglia going. It's enough the male patriarchy, pal. Right? Something like that. Yeah, for all the liberals out there. I don't know if anybody's read either of those two fantastic writers, but speakers. I can send you a Barbie. My granddaughter's got Barbies in the next room. You can have her head peek in from the side of your screen. Oh my gosh, that's great. Hello. I got a Miss Piggy action figure someplace. I got a Janice over there with Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. I could have her leaning in the camera and go, hey man, like Cuban or whatever, all right? I thought Dee Dee was going to say Barbie card, but she actually would send an actual Barbie. That's great. It's so great. All right, we're getting too macho here. Sorry, everybody. The better part of that isn't me putting the Barbie in the frame. The better part of that is people coming into my studio and wondering why I have a Barbie on my desk. What? Because sometimes it gets a little macho in here. It's a little macho. Got to tone it down a little bit with the Barbie. Can't call it a woman card if it's an actual Barbie figure, though. get overly aggressive and throw down a copy of Anne Ryan's Atlas Shrugged. She's not a woman. Oh, terrible. I like to draw the seams sometimes when I'm working in pen. I just, for whatever reason, drawing seams just seems to be fun to me. That's why my friends call me Whiskers. I could play Man's World by James Brown. That don't mean nothing. Nothing. I'm not a woman. Oh, a girl. Yeah, I like the Death by Wraither. You've got my Wraither conversation. I like that. That's a great way for kids to start attacking each other with art supplies. It's Diddy. Yes, my pen spins all the time. It's a thing. Diddy pointed this out recently. When you're drawing with pencil, you want to keep the sharp side of the pencil, okay, in your control. If you've got a dull pencil, clearly you got to just sharpen it. But so when you're working with a pencil and you make marks on this side that's on the surface now starts to dull. So you roll your pencil over in your hand to get that sharp tip there, facing downwards. And as you roll it around, eventually you need to sharpen it again. I do that when I'm still working with pens and markers and whatnot as well. And somebody pointed that out the other day, and it just haunted me for days. I just kept looking at, am I doing it now? Am I doing it now? For days, I realized I do this all the time when I'm drawing with pens or markers or the like. I spin my pen around, and so you get into weird habits, that's for sure. Like, and how people grip pens is important. People hold those differently and brushes differently. A lot of my grip is right there in these two fingers, and yet my thumb turns it around. Just an unconscious thing. Diddy is really enjoying this. I'm gonna make Chris crazy. I don't get him. Take that. It's just after a while, if you can develop some sort of knowledge of anatomy and scale and the relationships between how you're making marks and moving things around in your composition, and if you can allow yourself that, then you can find it, a greater degree of comfort when you're drawing, but it just sort of takes that routine practice to find that. So but you develop weird picadillos, and one of those weird picadillos for me is the spinning of the pen, which I'm not going to stop watching for now. Now there's at least one person who's, see, I just did it. There's at least one person who's glued to the screen going, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? If you want to see really good handling, by the way, of drawing in like microns or the like, take a look at Sid Mead. I highly recommend Sid Mead's work. And if people aren't familiar, I can show you a book of Sid Mead's. But he designed Alien stuff. He designed Blade Runner stuff. He designed quite a few different things for quite a few different motion pictures, as well as different set designs. And there's just something about the way he makes his marks. They're so soft and controlled, and yet at the same time very vigorous, like beautiful straight line, and frustrating. His name is, I'll show you. I'll just get it. I'll just grab it and show you. And then, well, I'll show you this before we wrap up today. Give me a second. So where do I have it? There it is. I got it. Don't worry. I got it. Yeah, I got too many books. Okay. They also designed Johnny Five from Short Circuit. Okay, so this is Sid Mead. And you can see the confidence in his line work. So that when you can see how he's designing things, this is the flying car for Blade Runner, that there's this obvious control in his line, this high gesture, this fluidity in his line, this gesticulative movement that I really, really like. And he's confidently aware of shadow, tone, and it's something to behold. So this is some of his car work that he did for the Blade Runner floating car. If you've seen that film, there's a garbage vehicle that's over here on this side. So there's some of those elements. But then he also, what do we got here? This is 2010. This is the sequel to 2001. This is 2010, which is also a great film, by the way. John Lithgow, and Balabin's in it. Scheider's in it, Roy Scheider, Bob Balabin, and just a great cast. Helen Mirren's in that as a Russian woman. Anyway, so he designed a lot of this stuff, this futurism, but you can just see this comfortable confidence in his line work. Here's some of his alien stuff. Here's the Nostromo. This is the guy who designed that. Look at that madness. Huh? What in the world's wrong with this guy? It's a lot of ruler work. If Janet tunes into this, it's a lot of ruler work, Janet. Respect it. Look at that. Just fantastic. Some of the environments. And so Mead has this thing about when he designs things, everything I've talked about him before, and this is a person who had a heavy amount of influence on me. Don't really draw like him, but the heavy amount of influence that I'm referring to is that everything that he draws and designs, all of these different little bibs and marks that he makes, all have purpose. There's a purpose to things. He understands how things move in conjunction with one another. Gears turn and wheels turn and the like. And so there's a functionality to all of his design work that a fabricator can actually absolutely look at a lot of this stuff and see how they could actually assemble this thing, how they could actually put it into dimensionality. What are we saying? It's like Kat says, watching me draw my spinning pen, it's like watching The Exorcist waiting for her head to spin. What was her name? I can't remember her name. It's something like, I don't know. I don't remember her name. What is his name? Oh, I'm sorry. That's D.D. St. His name. I thought you were talking about The Exorcist girl. It reminds me of the Skillful Huntsman. Oh yeah. That's a person who's probably a big fan of Mead as well. But yeah, Skillful Huntsman for sure. The design of that, right? Incredible style, great contrast. Yeah, Regan's from the Exorcist. Thank you, dude. That would have bothered me all day. So the apertures that are the eyes, and the gates, the shutter gates that he has designed on the sides and on the tops. That's the functionality part I'm talking about. The swivel hips, this mechanism which swivels this way, and this mechanism that swivels this way. You can see how he's actually functionally drawn that. So it's really compelling to me. It's really compelling to me, the practicality of a lot of that. So, if you have an opportunity to look at artists maybe outside of your comfort zone, your norm, do so. Here's something fun to try. So you can see the gesticulative sweeping movements he's making with, I don't know, is that a Sharpie and a pen or whatever it might be, maybe microns? Maybe it's just a Sharpie. But these sweeping functional lines and how they swing around, and then he refines it. Probably puts a piece of vellum over top and refines those lines and tightens that all up. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. There's this costume designs. This is for Tron. Yeah, he's the guy that designed a lot of the stuff in Tron. There's the big ship that moves through the sky. Here's his numbers that he's designing for it. Oh, that's from Tron too. Good fun stuff. Lots and lots and lots of fun. So yeah, anyways, Sid Mead, folks. All right. So that's somebody who, I think about whenever I'm drawing now, I think about how when I'm drawing a bottle of glue, I'm thinking about that little red cap that sits on top of the bottle of glue that keeps the glue in there, or how it has that screw shape in the neck of it, so that the nozzle, in the nozzle part of it, so that cap screws down on top. That is the stuff I'm actually thinking about as I'm drawing different things, and a lot of that is again due to old Sid Mead there. So I've got this is the Conflict Brews. So I've got this young man working on his drawing and his picture, and I'll have some materials and things like that on the table with him that he's gluing down and cutting and so on and so forth. But I'm going to have another person sitting across the table from him and say, that's my glue. And we'll have a nice close-up shot of that person's dissatisfaction, right? Kat says, I see the same powerful and effective use of every line in your art too, Christopher. That's awfully nice of you, Kat. Thanks very much. I'm a lot more restrained. I know for a fact I'm a lot more restrained in my movement, whereas Mead has got to be arcing his whole arm as he's drawing these things, because there's just this. Well, the gesticulation is the only word I can think of that works. I like that. I like that a lot. But thank you very much, man. So here's a couple of people to look up. I'll write them down for you. So anybody that wants to check these people out, do so. Sid Mead. Like the drink? Slow down. And another person that you might want to try is Greg Tocchini. That's 2 C's. I bet he doesn't spin like you on the spot in a circle. My arms out like this. Generally, I tend to change to my Wonder Woman costume when I do that, though. And that's personal. Yes, look at this guy. This is a modern artist who has a really fluid approach to line drawing. There's, of course, Breccia. Everybody should look at Breccia. I'll write him down. Breccia is boy, that's a mind blower. If you can look up these three artists, you'll see three very, very distinct different approaches in work. Breccia is very restrained. I tend to draw more, I think, in that regard. But look at the organic fluidity of Tocchini, and then look at the gestural fluidity of Mead. Restrained is a great word for describing line art. Oh, thanks, Dee Dee. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Super cool. Yeah, I think restrained is you got to have some, or at least a measured approach to your mark making. Maybe not so much restraining yourself or holding yourself back, but just be purposeful and measured in the marks that you put down. And I think that in the order, like in the course of doing so, you'll find that you'll be more satisfied with the composition because you've taken time and thought it through and considered it as you went along. But yeah, we're at an hour and a half. I tend to wrap up around an hour and a half too, just because type 1 diabetic. I got to go check my blood sugar and all that. Nobody wants to see that horror show. Thanks for adding some wonderful creativity and sanity to my otherwise weird day. Well, you're welcome. Isn't that right, Peppy?
That's right, Chris. I think she's welcome too.
That's normal. All right. And on that note, yeah, I'll be back at 2 o'clock tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you then. I hope everybody has a good day, goes out and does some creativity, does some things. I'd love to see them. I got a thing I'll be showing in my stream tomorrow. So I got another thing in the mail, and I'm very excited coming today, and I'm very excited about it. But in the meantime, have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.